Hey, welcome everybody. This is John Palmer, Dutch Speed Selling. This is Raging Verbalist number 318 for those who are keeping track. Why wouldn't you be? And today we have kind of a special, probably in a series of things I'll be talking about. So we'll have a kind of a linking. So you can always catch us on YouTube every Friday, also on Facebook in the Position to Win Book group. So there you go. If you don't know about Raging Verbalist to talk about a variety of different topics. Don't drift as much into politics, but we're opening up the aperture, if you will, in 26. Lots of things to talk about. So today is the folly of affordability 01, folly of affordability 01. And I'm going to tell you right now that this is a nebulous word that politicians and all kinds of people are throwing around. Now, I'm not saying it because, well, it's impossible to measure it, but it's nebulous because there's no context to it. What is affordability to one person versus another person? But more importantly, what does that mean to you in your life? We live in extraordinary times with very high expectations. And when I hear somebody say, well, John, but I can't buy a house, or this can't happen, or this can't happen, let's get some context to this thing. Okay. We had zero interest for a number of years, and we have a bunch of people who missed that. Sorry, that's the way the thing happens. If you really are this, omnipotent, then you should have been born at a different time. I can tell you that when interest rates hit 17 plus percent and kicked my father's business in the ass, and you couldn't buy anything and you had to do creative financing and you were paying all kinds of crazy numbers. Yeah, that's tough. Also, because of the rapid pace at which things are changing, markets are not static. So whenever somebody says affordability, we need to bring back affordability. I'm worried that I'm never going to be able to buy a house. Bullshit. If you want to buy a house, you can go do it. The question is where. If you want to buy a house in Manhattan, it's always been stupid expensive. Oh, it looks like it's going to be even more stupid expensive now. Now, am I crapping on people's dreams? Am I ignoring the reality of what's going on? No, I was doing a discussion and doing interviews talking about the whole transitory inflation thing years ago. I understand how vicious that can be and how terrible it can be and where we stand in this world when it gets out of hand. But I'm telling you right now that if you think that this affordability thing is the excuse not to live your life, then you are out of your mind because you need to get off your ass and figure out how to make this thing work for you. We live in extraordinary times. Why do I say that? Because you can go out and buy an iPhone for $1,000. Well, that's a lot of money, but you can go buy a cheap Android phone, not this year's model, not last year's model, but 2 years ago for $150, and it's a perfectly good phone. Is it the bells and whistles? Can you do all of the cool things you want to do with it? Well, again, it's back to people get into this expectation spiral and they think, wow, I need. Your priorities are, I believe, skewed because now what you have to do is ask yourself, how do I make enough money so I can decide what I want to buy or not buy? And is the job market all different ways? Well, it's fucked. I can tell you that. I own part of a staffing company and it's insane out there. But that's no excuse. We are dealt the hand that we are dealt and we have to live with it. Asking politicians to control markets and stop markets. Do you want to drive down the cost of something? Simple. Add additional supply, add additional capabilities. And by the way, you can sit in your wherever you sit and take out your phone. I do, and I've decided I needed to buy some clothing for myself. All right. So I could go to the Walmart, I could go to the Macy's, I could go to the Costco. But what I did was I went online and I looked it over and I found out that at Amazon I could get the delivery the next day. By the way, it just hit about 15 minutes ago. Didn't have to pay for shipping, had to pay for sales tax, but it was better than Walmart because Walmart had better prices but more expensive shipping. So I could make that decision. That was significantly harder. We used to have to work, humans used to have to work a few thousand years ago. I know that's a kind of a crazy context, but we had to work every single day so we couldn't, so we couldn't, or we wouldn't, that's a better word, wouldn't die. What was the long-term plan? Making it to tomorrow. Now, I'm not saying we should be that myopic, but when I hear people talking about affordability, when I see politicians talking about it on all sides, it just makes me say bullshit. If you are sucked into that, then you are sucked into a distraction, a diversion, a deflection from what you need to do. You need to figure out how to get your act together, get your life together, get off your ass. If you really want to buy a house, let's say you're out there, you're a Gen Z, you're saying, John, you're bullshit. Fuck you. Well, I'll tell you what, you want to go buy a house? Get five of your friends, get together and buy a house now. Go buy a house. Go credit qualify, go buy a house. Oh, by the way, you'll know what your credit score is. You know how hard it was? I mean, when I was in the finance business, just finding out what somebody's credit score as a finance company was a bitch. In those days, it was near impossible for somebody who was just a layperson. But go figure out it, get your collective shit together, go buy a house. Now you got a house. Now you got to figure out how six people are going to live together because it's an economic benefit. How do I know that this works? Because it's always worked, because you have to make an accommodation to the times and get off your ass. Now, if you start believing that, and by the way, there's lots of people who tell you about real estate. I'll tell you about real estate. I've made money in real estate. I've lost money in real estate. But if you believe that it can only go one direction, then you are again a victim to this nonsense. Affordability is a nonsensical word, and that's why this is my intro to it. I'll give you examples and point out ways that you can save money, make more money, and more importantly, figure out how to game and best the system that exists. If you ever let people start determining how that supply and demand is going to work and they're going to take it away from market forces, God help us all if you believe in a deity. And if you don't, well, then you're fucked anyway on other accounts. Maybe not. I don't know. You make that decision. I'm not a moralist, but I'm going to tell you right now, you have to get serious about figuring out how you're going to make it work in this day and age, in this world. Any of these things that people say you can't do, they are full of it. You have more creative ways, more things going on, more flexibility. How do people get into trouble? Because they start believing that somebody else, big daddy government, is going to take care of them, or somebody else should be taking care of them. If you've lived off of somebody else's dime, thank your lucky stars that they were generous enough or stupid enough or unaware enough to let you do it. Because you know what? That's not the real way the world works. And with that, I'm going to tell you that one of the things that you do need to spend money on, and you do need to get your head straight about, is this. Go out and buy my book. Why wouldn't you go buy my book? Most businesses fail in the first 5 minutes. It just takes them 3 to 5 years to realize a position win. Absolutely, absolutely is the case where people make the mistake of how they screw up when they're going to start a business. Now, I would say, should everybody, I get the question, should everybody start a business? Probably not. But if you're going to start a business, a career, whatever, you probably screw it up in the first few minutes and you get stuck with it. I have met so many people who say, John, I got the degree, I did everything right, but I don't have a gig. Well, then you missed the whole point of the thing because you bought something that wasn't true. All I'm going to tell you is go check it out. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, wherever books are sold, you can go get it. You can also get it physically from position2winbook.com, position2winbook.com. I'll autograph it for you and I'll tell you the real straight stuff. Or you can get it digitally from Kindle, Nook, or Apple iBooks. And with that, I'm John Paul Mendoza at Dr. Speed Selling, and I can tell you one thing. Affordability is a folly because it is a false hope that somebody is going to automatically lower prices and make your whole thing better. We live in a competitive world, and you better get used to it, or not, you're going to get your ass kicked. Until next time, go out there and go out, make some smart decisions. Don't get pulled into the bullshit. And most importantly, learn about how you can become a better you.